Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and good afternoon in Japan to everybody. And it's tomorrow in Japan.
That's
And
right.
we're talking with Mike Irish on our little ball of mud. Ladies and gentlemen, I have so many apologies to make about getting this thing started that I can't begin to tell you, but a big one to Mike because we've had to do this twice now. But I need to tell you, we had to do it twice for my motorcycle mechanic as well. And he was also very patient. And I appreciate it, Mike. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Yeah. And so tell us real quickly what's going on with your schools.
Um, well, I live in Shizuoka Prefecture, which is just south of Tokyo, and we've been under lockdown, well, emergency measures for about the past month. So our summer vacation was extended. We did 2 weeks of online lessons at my high school, which is my day job. My school here that I run with my wife, we kept our students online as well until today. We're letting them come back today because the public schools are back in session and have been for 3 weeks, and there have been no major clusters. So we have to
Okay.
follow the governmental guidelines, but we're okay to come back in person, but masked and
Are you
sanitized
are
and all
you
that.
are you excited about it?
Yeah, I prefer in-person lessons myself. Of course, I'm a
Mhm.
very social creature, as you know. So,
Yeah. How many students are you working with?
well, there are about 1,000 kids at my high school. Um, I work closely with a one-year homestay program. We send our students for 1 year to, until COVID, either America or Canada. We just got a group to Vancouver recently. So last year nobody was able to go. So we finally got a group of students to Vancouver, and they'll spend about 10 months there, I guess. But at my school, we're just a small family-run, you know, school. I teach here 5 days a week. So,
And as I understood it from our last time together, you are training these young adults
mhm.
um, to go into the schools in America
Yeah, or
and
Canada.
Canada
Yep,
and
that's right.
Canada.
Yeah, it's
Hmm.
basically most of these kids have never been abroad and have probably only studied about 3 years of English before they go. So I spend their first year, Japanese high school is 3 years here. So their first year is seeing me every day for intensive English, mostly English classes, survival English. What do you do if you don't like your host mother's cooking? What if they have a very pushy dog? How do you handle these things? What if you can't use the washing machine? Stuff like that. Um, Along with the English, they study a lot of English all week, you know, with other teachers, a lot of grammar, a lot of vocabulary. But I am the practical conversation, survival English part of their curriculum. So,
Man.
that's what I do, Sat.
Did
Mostly
you
what I,
just
what,
wake up?
sorry,
Did
go
you just
ahead.
wake up one day when you were young and say, I'm gonna just go to Japan, or did you just keep following your heart?
No, my uncle actually worked in the Foreign Service, and when I was in first grade, he was stationed in Hong Kong, getting the government ready to go back to China. Um, so I knew that my uncle was in Hong Kong, and I was walking to first grade one day, and in front of me was a little Asian boy and his mother, and my mind just said, "Excuse me, do you know my Uncle Jim?" And they said no, of course, but we became fast friends, and I helped him learn English. He had just come from Hong Kong. Um, and I went to his house, and I saw a Buddhist shrine in his house. I saw a Godzilla figure. I saw Gundam figures. I saw like throwing stars, and I was hooked when I was
So,
6.
you were, that was it, you were home.
Yeah, yeah. So my mother always says I was Japanese in my past life, so she's
Mhm.
convinced of it. So I just always had an interest in it, and now he was actually Chinese from Hong Kong, but my interest went into samurai and ninja and geisha and that whole kind of Japan lore. It was just fascinating to me. So I knew it was where I wanted to go, and once I got here, I knew it's where I was going to stay. So
Is there a word for an American person in Japan today?
yeah, sure.
I
They
mean,
call us
in
gaijin.
Hawaii, they say howley.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. We were called gaijin, right? Which
gaijin.
gaijin, which means outside person,
Okay.
right?
But
And some people
it's a respectful word.
some people misunderstand it to mean, outsider kind of thing, but nobody uses it that way in my experience, not much. They usually call me Gaijin san, which is the respectful ending to it, like just like they would call me Mike san, Mike san. My mother-in-law still calls me Mike san. So, so
What's been the hardest aspect of this transition for you from an American citizen
mm,
living in a foreign country? And I know you went there with some language, but I can't imagine you haven't learned a ton more since you've been there.
of course, yeah. Well, I had only had, 2 years of formal Japanese language education when I first came. It was
And that
intensive
was at
at
ASU.
ASU. Yeah.
Okay.
And I actually repeated my first year in summer school because I was not confident enough to go on. So I repeated 101 and 102. My sensei was gracious enough to let me do that if I never missed a class or an assignment, you know. So I did it and then moved on to 201 and 202. And after that, she suggested that I apply for a job with the Ministry of Education here in Japan, which was a 1 year process. It was interviews at the U.S. Embassy in San Francisco, or the Japanese Embassy in San Francisco. And I eventually got hired by the Department of Education and came over for 3 years. Lived in Osaka for 3 years, and then my 3 years it was done. So I just took off and backpacked around Asia for 5 months or something. Came back to America, got my job as the interpreter and translator at the Gulf Channel in
Was that
Orlando.
fun?
Yeah, I loved it. It was great, but nobody was interested in Japan. Nobody wanted to hear about Japan. Nobody cared that I lived in Japan. That's all I wanted to talk about was Japan.
Right.
They
Yeah.
just wanted to talk about sports, and I was like, you know. So then 9/11 happened, and I decided
Oh,
that
well.
I was just gonna follow my heart. I gave up the super cool Golf Channel job and
Hmm.
came back to Japan, worked as a teacher again, and then met my wife and opened my own school. So
Yeah,
yeah,
bingo.
yeah. Now I have, a house, a business, 2 kids, and yeah, couldn't be better. So
You know the logo for here,
mm,
and I've got your address now, so I'll be sending you a shirt.
excellent.
You have to turn it inside out when you wash it.
Okay,
Don't wash it in hot water.
we don't
Keep it
anyway.
away. Huh?
We don't wash in hot water here, and we don't use dryers.
Ah,
Yeah.
Yep, you're good to go.
you are so good to go. And when are you coming back to America for a little visit next?
Uh, well, once my 2-year-old is able to travel on a plane, it's hard taking him to the supermarket these days. So that that won't be happening anytime soon.
He's two.
He's 2. My older one is 6. We brought our first one home to meet the grandparents when he was a year and a half almost. So he was still
Mhm.
manageable, but this second one, man, he is a handful. So, so no chance, not anytime soon. And especially with COVID, I'm getting my second shot on Friday, so finally got around to getting vaccinated. The
Oh,
government
good.
was taking too long, so we just found a small hospital that had extra doses and got our first shots. So I'm going back
Did
Friday,
you,
get my
did
second.
you get the Pfizer shot
Yep,
or?
yep, Pfizer.
Okay.
That was all that was approved in Japan for a long time. So
For what about a long time? I'm
Pfizer
sorry,
was,
I
that's all right.
managed to destroy everything.
That's okay.
Okay, there we go.
Pfizer was the only one that was allowed in Japan for most of the pandemic until just recently. I think they approved Moderna and now just recently AstraZeneca. So, but everyone in my family and everyone that I know has had the Pfizer except for one lady who got it through her work. The big businesses here were able to get Moderna, so they did their employees with that.
Has it hit Japan severely?
No, we've been very lucky. I mean, everybody wears masks for the common cold here anyway, so we don't pass it on to each other.
Exactly.
It's just courtesy, common respect, which I find lacking sometimes at home. But yeah, here everybody follows the rules, everybody takes precautions, takes responsibility for themselves. It's a very grown-up society compared to ours at the moment.
What are your words of wisdom for the humans, man? I mean, in all these rough times.
Well, I saw something recently that, God doesn't give you a shovel and expect you to pray for a hole, you know? It's like just use the damn shovel, you know? Use what, science has given us. And a lot of people smarter than me, are telling us to do this. And it works. So why not?
There's a
We've
lot of
all
people.
we've all
There's
had
a lot of people
hmm,
over here in America that are against the shot,
it's
against
ridiculous.
getting back.
All of us have mandatory vaccinations as kids anyway for like 16 different diseases. Measles, mumps, rubella, smallpox. My little brother doesn't have the polio circle that I have because it worked. You know, I mean, this is nothing new. People are just choosing to be ignorant. That's all. But I just trust it's Darwin's theory of evolution wiping out the stupid people.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I might get some pushback on that one, but
Yeah,
you
you
know,
might just get on
good thing I'm safe over here.
that one. Uh, I'll let you get back to your class then, my brother. And
Okay, man.
any other things that you can show, just bring up in on while we're recording, if
Mhm.
you want to show the name of your school.
Well, I have the
You
name of
have,
my school right here. It's
okay, just
PK Kaiwa.
speak.
Yep,
Okay,
and it
and
means
maybe
English
go online
conversation.
and yeah.
Yeah.
I went online and looked at the address you sent me, and it was all in Japanese, of course,
There should
but it
be a
was really
little
fun to watch.
there should be a little Google Translate option to translate it into English. It's not a good translation, but it's good enough.
Okay, I'll
But
try
yeah,
that. I'll look for
yeah,
that.
if you want to check it out, it's www.peak-eikawa.com. PK Kaiwa, that's me. And it means Practical English for Adults and Kids, is what that stands for. So
And you
that's me.
have, well, you're the epitome of what I'm doing with this little ball of mud. Know what you're doing, or you're just paying bills. Know why you're here on this little planet, and have some respect and gratitude.
Well, I was always the worst student or the one with the least knowledge in my Japanese classes, and I struggled with the language. It's a difficult thing to learn. So I bring that experience to help my students here and know, hey, it's all about making mistakes and learning from your mistakes and just doing your best and keep at it until, if someone understands what you're trying to get across. And
Hmm.
so that's what I try and bring to English education in Japan is just some, hey, don't be afraid of making mistakes. It's part of life. It's the best part of life usually.
Never give up, never surrender.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Keep getting back up.
Anybody you want me to say hey to over here?
Everybody, the whole crew, man. Yeah, I keep in touch with, Tara and David once in a while and, Michaela and all that. But yeah, just say hi to everybody. I talk to Karen in Brussels once in a while and,
Hmm.
you know,
Good.
yeah.
Good.
So yeah, just my love to all you brothers and sisters.
Yeah,
And
you're a
Gary, of
person
course, I saw Gary.
very
Yeah.
missed. We
Oh,
even
thank you.
talk about you when you're not here.
Yeah, well, that happens a lot, I'm assuming.
Mike Irish,
So,
it's an honor. Thank you for
it's been
having
my
us.
pleasure, Sat. Of course. Love you, man.
Okay, thank you, man. Love
You
you
bet.
too. Bye.
All right.